TORC, the Off-Road Championship, returns tonight to Fort Worth, Texas for a rematch. A second chance at glory in an all-out cowboy-style gunfight at the dirt track at Texas Motor Speedway. TORC returns to the Lone Star State with the world's best drivers on dirt. 3 classes, Pro Light, Pro 2-Wheel Drive, and Pro 4-Wheel Drive, continue the grueling competition of the 7-stop National Tour. The 2016 season opened up full throttle with Kyle Hart scoring 2 podium finishes in round number 1 at Texas. Hart claimed the top spot in Pro Light and a 3rd in Pro 2. Keegan Kincaid sought redemption as last season's championship runner-up by starting the season with a win in Pro 2. Johnny Greaves sported a flashy new look, but familiar results as he claimed win number 32 of his storied career. High speed and high-octane off-road racing is on tap, and this ain't our first rodeo. Round number 2 of the Roundup in Texas starts now. We're deep in the heart of Texas at Texas Motor Speedway for the second stop of TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL. Welcome, everyone. I'm sure it's going to be an exciting race. If round number 1 was any indication, I'm Robbie Floyd. This is the 3-time TORC Series champion, Ricky Johnson, and RJ. In round 1, some unexpected things happened. We saw a few fires. We saw some mechanical failures, some breakages that we don't expect later on in the year.
Well, always in the first round, those gremlins raised their ugly heads, and it happened in Pro 2 and in Pro 4. In Pro 2, we had a zip tie come apart where they should have used a steel zip tie, melted an oil line, started a fire. In Pro 4, we saw CJ Greaves, a couple bolts broke in a transmission. It backed out. He lost his forward drive. So you never push as hard in testing as you do in this first round.
Things you just don't expect. But one thing we expect here at the track at Texas Motor Speedway is the dirt consistency to be different than it was at round 1. We had a lot of rain before that round. Now things have been drying out.
Exactly. Yesterday was all about drying out the track. The sun came out, the wind came out, and Jeff Nordstrom and the whole crew worked all day to make it a raceable surface. Today was completely the opposite. They were ripping it up, watering it, trying to keep water into it. So completely different track, and you're going to have to find a different setup.
It looks like a perfect track. Bluebird skies, no rain in the forecast. But, you talk about all the variables these guys deal with, race in, race out. Kate Osborne has more.
So you hear these teams talking about setup, but the real question is what is setup? Well, there's a lot of components that make it up. However, 3 of the major ones are tires, which is cut, compound, and pressure. Next, you move up to the suspension, which is the shocks, the sway bar, and the spring rates. Then it's gearing, which is finding that magic combination between horsepower and traction. Now in round 1, 3 of the drivers nailed their setup. However, most of the field really struggled to find it, and tonight it's going to be all about that person who can find the right setup.
We have a full night of action tonight, 3 different race classes. We always kick it off with the Pro Lights. The Aturo Tire Pro Lights kick things off every night. The Pro 2-Wheel Drive followed by the Pro 4-Wheel Drive. We move up in horsepower from now on. I mean, this is it. These are still very fast trucks, as you mentioned in previous rounds. If you had this horsepower in your street car, you would be flying. Well, you want to talk about flying. Let's look back at last night, Aturo Tire Pro Light winner, Kyle Hart. That dude was flying, had the truck set up perfectly. For the most part, he might have gotten on 2 wheels here or there.
Yeah, that's called getting on the bicycle, but that shows confidence because he turned into it, caught it, and stayed right on the grass. So great win for this young pilot, Kyle Hart.
18-lap race, and he led every single one of them to take the victory for the 2nd year in the row. Let's take a look at our starting grid. Bobby Runyon going to start on pole next to Travis Dinsmore in the 43.
In the 2nd row, we have Andrew Carlson in the 151 and Sean Morris on the outside in the number 27.
Again, it should be about 5 rows. Morris was very fast, made his way into the podium. In that 3rd row, we've got Luke Johnson and Kyle Hart. Kyle Hart won last night's race. Luke Johnson finished in 2nd, was pressured in for more than half of the race.
Yeah, and then the guys in the back that had a little trouble last night, but they got everything worked out, is number 21, Cam Reimers. He was fast all night long, and he's a previous winner, so look for him. And also the young gun, Travis Pecoy.
A lot of pressure on Chad Dorman and Jake Lunderby to get a good start. They're in the back of the pack. That doesn't mean they have to stay there. We will have a competition caution at the halfway mark. This is an 18-lap race, so after lap 9, we will re-rack, restack, and we're looking for that little starting area. Who's going to get the start? Will it be Dinsmore? Will it be Runyon? Runyon on the outside of the Borla colors. Dinsmore actually has pole on that inside. There's the cone, and there's the start.
Travis Dinsmore with a slight jump on Runyon. We see Luke Johnson looking to the inside and Kyle Hart running to the outside. A risky move, but he made some great moves last night.
Way to shut him down, Charlie Brown, for Bobby Runyon there in second, because it looked like Andrew Carlson had made that pass into second, just wasn't able to hold it. Now this turn in round one was crazy slippery, as you see guys drifting really wide, but you see a ton of traction already in the first lap.
A lot of bumping and banging. I think you're going to see some bicycling going on tonight. We see some guys shuffling back and forth, and Travis Pico in the number 3 coming all the way from the back, working his way up. We're watching 21 Cam Reimers and also Lunderby in 55. But right now, it's all about Travis Dinsmore, who's got about a 6-car truck length lead.
And he said that he had a gearing change. He must have that thing dialed in perfectly, because he's pulled an advantage. Let's see, as he comes across in second, it looks like Runyon's dropped back to third. Andrew Carlson has taken over second. Look at the pressure on the outside, trying to give out. What happened to Carlson?
Something happened to Carlson drastically, just turned right off. He probably lost a belt or something like that off that jump. And when the oil light comes on, Robbie, you got to save your equipment, because it's not worth trying to keep running. So he pulled over really fast, shut it off. So I'm going to bet something like that, lost a belt.
Bobby Runyon out of Denair, California, the Borling Sauce, Cooper Tires, Nissan truck, holding off Sean Morris last night. He was fast enough to be on the podium, but we saw guys back in third, fourth, and fifth at times running the fastest lap times. That shows you the parity.
Right, but now we're looking, look who's in third. And here we see in the inside Sean Morris coming in. It's getting a little wet out there, a little bumping and grinding and slipping and sliding. But right now, Bobby Runyon, we talked about him. He's got the inside spot.
Well, watch the 41 back there. He squares it up. He's going to get a good drive. I thought he was going to be in position to maybe pull up next to Sean Morris. Last night's winner starting to get into the fray now. You see the 41 of Kyle Hart, the Aturo Pro Light runner-up, or the winner last night. But he's trying to win again here tonight. That would make it 3 in a row in Texas.
Well, and you wonder why these guys fight so hard if there's a competition yellow, because you do get 1 point for leading it halfway. So you want to get up there and start stacking away those points anytime you can, because it's only a 2-point deficit if you go from first to second, second to third, and so on.
I meant to say that Kyle Hart finished third last year. The runner-up in this season, the 2015 season, is just behind him. Luke Johnson, your son, look at that, 3 wide in the tightest portion of the course. Runyon's not backing down. He's on the outside, but he squares it up, tries going to the inside. He's going to get a pretty good drive. Also, you see Hart back there and Luke Johnson. Morris is working his way up now into second. He did that last year. On those last few laps, made up a ton of ground. He's doing it a lot earlier this year.
But also keep your eye on that liquid wrench 21 of Cam Reimers. He wants to make up for lost ground last night. He's right up on Luke Johnson, so it's still anybody's race at this point.
And making the move now, moving up another position, is Kyle Hart. The 41, a little bit of push there. It looked like he was putting some steering input, and there goes Luke Johnson trying to get by Bobby Runyon. Luke Johnson on that multicam colored Red Bull 14. LJ finished second last year to Doug Matag. He's trying to win his first TORC championship in the Aturo Pro Lights.
He shoots to the inside. Sometimes that outside line is the faster way around, but it looks like Luke's trying to make that inside work. This will put him in position, but a little bit of swap lost some ground on Bobby Runyon.
If he was straight, it'd be better, but now he's straightened up and he has that position. Bobby's going to try and run all the way around, but that's the long way around.
Yeah, but that gives him a great run coming up. So that's going to put Bobby on the outside. He switches back over, looks to the inside, but then Luke blocks him. I'm not going to say it was intentional, but now now we got a race. We got the 4 guys that are looking really smart, but right now it's still Dinsmore out in front.
It's anyone's game. I think any one of these top 6, 7 drivers could still win this race. Luke Johnson trying to hold off Bobby Runyon, and there's Cam Reimers, the liquid wrench, the yellow truck, number 21, entering in the fray as well. We're on lap number 7 of 18. After lap number 9, we will have that mandatory competition caution.
Well, we heard Kate talk about setup. I've heard everybody running from a 5.0 gear to actually, no, I'm sorry, a 4.0 to a 4.56. Everyone a little bit different.
And look at the pressure now from our leader. Morris and Hart have closed in on Travis Dinsmore. Kate, what do you have on Travis?
Travis Dinsmore, who is out in front right now. He's getting caught by Sean Morris and Kyle Hart coming in here. But round 1 here, he had a rough day. He lost an alternator and a fuel pump. He said that he also messed up on his setup game. Talking about setups, it's so important here. But in practice, he practiced his gearing, he worked on his lines, and he put his truck setup in neutral. So right now, it's working for Travis Dinsmore.
It is. He's out in front. It's also working for Kyle. Look at Kyle Hart inside on that really tight right-hander. and he just stuffed his way into position.
And now here comes Sean Morris back to the inside, gets a little bit too loose, and that allows Kyle Hart to push up the track and pull that little bit of a truck length lead so he can run his own line.
And I see Luke Johnson also sneaking up a little bit more. When those two guys battle, Luke closes in. Luke's looking to make maybe one more pass. If he can get in that top three, he knows that he can still win this race.
Well, yesterday at the end of the race, it was Kyle Hart that was fast all the way through, but then Luke Johnson was able to put down the fastest lap. And the last lap, he was the quickest at a 39.3.
And that may be the way the truck's set up too. You see Sean Morris again. He's a little wider than he wants to be there. Johnson closes in a little more back and forth, but there's the leader, Dinsmore. Lap number 9 of 18. He's going to be looking for that competition caution after this left-hand turn, and that's exactly what he sees halfway through this 18-lap feature. And Dinsmore leads. Second place comes across Kyle Hart, then Morris, and Luke Johnson rounding out the top 4. We're at the halfway point of the Enduro Tire Pro Light final. Travis Dinsmore leads everyone after this competition caution. Find your favorite driver, hold on, grab on. Things change in a hurry in Pro Lights. Kyle Hart, the series points leader, back in second place.
Well, now when we watch them come around, you gotta watch. There's a zone where there's 2 cones where Travis Dinsmore will start the race. That way there's no jumping. We're not looking for a flag right there. You see the 2 cones right before the jump. It'll go green any second.
You can hear him on the throttle. A good jump by Hart in second. He's all over the back bumper of Dinsmore. Now he's onto the inside. That's where he made his pass. He's on 2 wheels. He's getting great traction.
Yeah, he is. He's getting awesome traction. So it looks like that Hart runs a little bit softer sway bar because it accelerates really hard in the corner. And Dinsmore goes around.
Look at Morris. Morris just stuffed his way in there. Johnson ready to do the same thing. The crowd, man, they are cheering on Kyle Hart. He doesn't live too far from here. He brought a heck of a cheering section from Louisiana.
Yeah, I think we saw about 20 people down there with Kyle Hart. So here we see this winner from last night, Kyle Hart, doing the same thing. Luke Johnson looking to the underside of Dinsmore, trying to work his way into that 3rd spot.
Kyle Hart won 2 of the first 3 races last year. So far, he's a perfect 1-for-1 on the 2016 season, and he just really has that thing dialed.
Well, and also he's stepping up to the Pro 2 as well, so that's got to give him a lot of confidence. And you also got to remember that he is he's you know, here we take another look at that. Travis Dinsmore comes in, locks it up. The turtle bumps bounced him around. He got a little bit loose, but he saves it. Then Sean Morris comes and straightens him out just a little bit, but that allows Luke Johnson to make up a lot of ground, but also let Kyle Hart get out in front.
Sean had to do it. It was a perfect thing. Oh, you talk about Sean Morris. We've got a full course yellow. He is on his lid. I went to look over our monitor just then to see where Morris was and how close he was. And obviously, he's not loving things. Now, what are you having to deal with here? Because, yes, it's not just rolled over. You have to worry about some mechanical things as well with that truck being upside down for any extended period of time.
As Sean Morris comes in, he hits the tire, and then Luke Johnson comes in and lands right on top of him. Nowhere to go.
Johnson had nowhere to go in that situation, and what can you do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He can push him. He can drive him around. He can back up. There goes Reimers, and he chose the backup method. So Sean Morris on his lid, but he's still got plenty more race ahead here in the Pro Light class. So a change up front, still have Kyle Hart leading in his Maxxis tire truck, but Sean Morris back in the back of the field. He is hoodless after rolling over. He's prepared to go to finish off the remainder of this race. It's an 18-lap race. He almost has the full back half still to go. But now they're back on the throttle. Luke Johnson in second, Dinsmore third. Cam Reimers now worked his way up into fourth.
Cam Reimers running very, very strong after a very frustrating night last night, but the guy out in front is doing what he did last night, and that is Kyle Hart, and he's leading the way.
And that's everything that Luke Johnson could ask for closing up. We've seen trucks banging. I see Bobby Runyon sideways. When I'm reading Borla, and we're supposed to be on a straightaway as you head us, that's not a good thing.
Exactly. Bobby Runyon just getting a little bit loose coming around there. Looks like he's going to go make a stop in the hot pit, but right now Cam Reimers is the man on the move. He's put that 21 liquid wrench right up into third place.
Cooper Tires, Nissan out of Ogden, Iowa. Cam Reimers come from a four-wheeler racing background, not necessarily the two wheels motocross that you and
Yeah.
I might think of, but I mean, that may help him being on four wheels, even doing that.
Cam started in motocross, then had a successful career on four wheels, which is with the quads, but now he's doing a great job in these trucks. Like I said, he's a previous winner from last year, so watch that boy. He's a man on the move.
Dismore still not very far back in the Slico entry in fourth, taking a little wider line, trying to change it up, do something different. Don't play follow the leader.
No, you can't do that because if we saw earlier, we saw Bobby Runyon spin around and stuff like that. So right now, Reimers is watching Luke Johnson and also Kyle Hart what line is working because they're taking completely different lines. And we only have a few laps left. We're on lap 12 of 18.
Trying to go inside as much, maybe push wide. When you have a little separation, you can run those faster racing lines. If you have somebody really tight behind you, you might not be able to run the fast line. You might have to be a little more protected.
You got to play protected. You got to run a good defense when you have somebody looking on the inside right now.
Like that?
Exactly. And here we've seen, but Kyle seems to put it all together and bounce back away out in front of everybody. As we were talking earlier, that these guys are running different gears and stuff like that. I think Kyle's more from the short lead, and then Luke Johnson, I think, has got a little bit taller gear, but we see Kyle pulling away.
Taller gear should help Luke Johnson on the straightaways, but he's doing his big work down there in the tighter stuff. Kind of surprising. Luke Johnson, that Red Bull 14, multicam colored out of California. My partner's son, so I know you. It's tough to watch your son out there, but he's having a good start to his campaign, much like last year. But unlike last year where he finished second, he's looking to win the championship for 2016.
Exactly. All these guys, everyone, we're looking for a new champion. Doug Matag, the defending champion, has moved up to Pro 2 and Pro 4. He's running out on the West Coast. But right now, it's these two drivers who were 1 and 2 last night. But Luke Johnson looking for that one position more. But he's got to do something if he wants to catch Kyle Hart.
You know, Doug Matag's probably in Indonesia right now going, dang it, I need to be back out here. We hope to see Doug maybe at Crandon later on in the year. 1, 2, and 3, Kyle Hart, Luke Johnson, Cam Reimers. The laps are winding down, only 4 more to go.
Right. Oh, we see him up on the bicycle again, and that's what we're talking about. I'm pretty sure that Kyle Hart is running the softer sway bar because he gets great traction coming off the corner, but he also has trouble with a little bit of bicycling. Obviously, you see Luke Johnson losing a little bit of ground right there, but this seems to be a good corner for him.
So you're settling, it lets the truck roll a little bit more over to that outside when they have lesser sway bar?
When you have lesser sway bar, what happens is it doesn't want to pull up the tire coming off the corner. Here we see Reimers looking on the inside,
Bad
Luke
turn
Johnson
by
on the
Johnson.
outside. Yep, he's running a little bit too high. So he's got to run his own line here. You see him a little bit loose.
He's all over the place.
Yeah, he is. That truck's pretty beat up, and most of that's just cosmetic. But right now, he's just got to pull it together to be smooth, and now we see Cam Reimers looking to the inside.
He might be fighting a gremlin that we just can't understand right now because that truck is not only a push, he's got some understeer, oversteer, he's all over. Cam Reimer's going to be on the inside here. This is the tightest portion of the track. Watch the Liquid Ridge 21. Can he shut it down? Luke squares it up.
Great racing right
man,
there. That was a lot of respect. He
perfect.
came in there. You know, we try not to door each other too much in this series, but we do bump and bang on him. And right there, a lot of respect by Cam Reimers not taking out Luke Johnson because he had every opportunity.
When you say door him, that means put your front bumper in the side of his door, not side-to-side contact. That's almost encouraged.
Exactly. We want to see good rough racing. This is like, as we talked about, like a UFC fight. We want them bumping and banging, but we don't want direct door front bumper to door. So Luke Johnson picking up a little bit of time. Cam Reimers falling back just a little bit. And how we see Travis Dinsmore up on the back of Cam Reimers.
Sean Morris worked his way into fifth. The race really right now is for the 1, 2, 3 position, especially second, third, and fourth. Fourth spot, Travis Dinsmore. That last lap was 3.2 seconds behind the leader. You can see him sneak into that picture there. All 4 drivers are in that shot. That shows you how tight they are. One bobble, one big bicycle by Kyle Hart. He's going to come back to the field. White flag is out. 1 more to go.
Cam Reimers with an unbelievably fast lap going into that tight corner. Made up about 6 car truck lengths on Luke Johnson. So right now, watch this right-hander. This seems to be Cam's corner.
Might have to start calling it that, but Johnson set up pretty darn straight there. And again, he's been faster in this tighter section. Reimers goes to the inside. He almost has to. Looking for a mistake by Johnson. Not going to happen there. You see a little bucking action from the Maxxis 41.
See Cam Reimers looking to the inside here. We're watching Kyle Hart. Really, really tight race for second and third place right now. But it looks like it's going to be Kyle Hart for a perfect sweep here in Texas.
Walker Evans Racing, Maxxis tire. Kyle Hart is perfect in Texas, 2 for 2. Round 1 and round 2 winner. Second goes to Luke Johnson in that Red Bull truck. Liquid Rich in third of Cam Reimers. Travis Dinsmore in fourth, followed by Sean Morris rounding out our top 5. Kyle Hart is perfect on the year in 2016.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, is brought to you by AMSOIL, devoted to protection. Maxxis Tires, we know dirt. And by Cooper Tires, we make tires for people, not just cars.
Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. The Atturo Tire Pro Light winner for the second time in 2016 is Kyle Hart. He wins his second time. That's as many as he had in all of 2015.
Kyle, you are all smiles yet again, winning your another race here. You're 2 for 2 to start the season. You told me earlier that your truck was set up before you got here and you really didn't make a lot of changes. What is your secret here at Texas Motor Speedway?
You know, I don't know. It's just one of those tracks. It just seems like you come here and you're fast, and this is the one for me. And I've won every Pro Light race I've been in this one, and actually I've been on the podium every time I've raced here. So hopefully we can make it 4 for 4 on podiums this weekend in the Pro 2. But that was such a crazy race. It wasn't near as easy as it was yesterday. I got to get out front and lead the whole thing. But today I had to work through traffic and get beat around a little bit. But I pushed through, and I couldn't be here without all the help from all my family and my dad, for sure, my mom, and Maxxis, AMSOIL, Dynamic, ATD, and just everyone, all the guys that helped me this weekend. Could be more pumped.
All right, Kyle Hart, a little bit speechless here. Best of luck out there in the Pro 2, and again, congratulations on starting 2 for 2 here in the season.
Thanks, Kate. Another guy who's going to be 2 for 2 on the weekend is Luke Johnson, finishing second yesterday or in round 1. Second today as well. That's going to help him out for the points championship, but he's got to find the key to get by Kyle Hart. Reimers worked his way up into third. A tremendous start for him. Reimers started in 7th, finishing on the podium. Morris, even though he rolled over, still finishing in that top 5. Let's go down to Kate. She's with Luke Johnson in second.
Yeah, Luke, climbing out of the car. Your goal, you told me earlier, was to be consistent. This is an end game for you. The championship is your goal, and you just wanted to end up on the podium. That's exactly what you ended up doing.
Yeah, I thought we had something for Kyle there in the first half of the race, and then we had that little tangle up with Sean, which was unfortunate, but it was awesome. I got my spot back, and Kyle was already well set into his groove in the second half, drove an awesome race. I just couldn't close the gap, but like you said, I want to be here for the rest of the season. I want to make sure that this Red Bull Spider multicam truck is up on top. This Cooper Tire's been working awesome with these various conditions we've had here. I just can't thank everyone enough, my crew, my family, my girlfriend, everyone for being here and supporting me last year. Unfortunately, we just took off and got here, and I didn't have anyone along with me, and it's that much sweeter to celebrate all this with the people I love. So thank you to all the servicemen that are out here tonight. Multicam, buying everyone tickets, that's awesome, and I'm glad that we can have a sponsor come help the guys who are letting us be here racing today.
Luke Johnson, second time in the podium, second place here at Texas Motor Speedway.
Looking at the championship point scenario, a perfect score for Kyle Hart. LJ 4 points behind. Morris has now worked, or he's in third. Reimers has worked his way up to fourth in a tie with Travis Dinsmore. Bobby Runyon, unfortunate for him, he was very fast this week and really didn't have the results to show for it, Ricky.
Yeah, well, it's anybody's championship at this point, but Sean Morris, it was very, very tough for him to be all the way up front and then fall all the way back. But right now, the guy to watch is got to be Kyle Hart.
Guy with a big smile on his face, I'm sure we're about to find out, would be Cam Reimers in that liquid wrench truck. Yeah, he worked his way up to third.
Yeah, very big smile for Cam Reimers. This is a podium that you really deserved. I mean, you worked your way through that entire race. This was not easy. And you're coming out even red-faced and sweating. Walk us through that entire event.
Oh, yeah, it was a warm one for sure. But this is really how we imagined Dallas going, is how today went. We had our struggles yesterday. Had to start deep in the field, but, man, this liquid wrench truck was hooked up and flying. Was able to work my way up forward. Great battle with Luke, us two dicing back and forth, never touched. If he weren't for my Cooper Tire teammate, I maybe would have laid a door to him. But, I mean, obviously us two were hooked up on those tires. Huge thanks to all the people that helped us out this year on 2016, Forest County Potawatomi, Max, and Kicker Audio, SSI Decals, Rugged Radios, K&N, everyone that helps this program. What an amazing night and amazing fans in front of Texas. Thanks, everyone, for coming out.
Cam Reimers, congratulations on third place here.
Thank you.
So it's time to shake off the Atturo Pro lights, prepare ourselves for the Pro 2-wheel drive as they're starting to line up. Let's show you what happened last night in round number 1. CJ Greaves was out in front, emphasis on the was.
Yeah, and what we saw was CJ had a trouble. I'm gonna say that he looked like he was transitioning from Pro 2 to Pro 4.
Keegan Kincaid was the one who made that pass on the inside, took the lead, took the win, and he's standing by with Kate Osborne.
Keegan Kincaid is starting the season out with a win. Now it's a big guessing game here in Texas as to what the setup's going to be. And in round one, you are one of the guys who did it. Can you do it again tonight?
Yeah, hopefully. The track conditions have been changing all week long, and it was a guessing game. And we took a stab at it, and it worked out in our favor. You know, we guessed opposite, but it worked out where the track was tacky and the truck came to. And we're throwing at it again today, and hopefully put this Traxxas truck back on top of the box.
Last night's winner, Keegan Kincaid in the field. CJ Greaves, the defending champion. When we come back, the Pro 2-wheel drives hit the Texas track. Welcome back to TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL. We're in Fort Worth, Texas, round number 2, race number 2 of the night. The Pro 2-wheel drives ready to hit the stage. Brad Lovell going to be leading the field, and yes, we have bumped up the horsepower in this one, almost 900 horsepower, 20 inches of suspension. These are bigger, badder, better suspended trucks.
Alrighty, taking a look at the lineup on the front row, we got number 25, Ari Lyondike Jr. in that gunk mobile, and right outside of him, the AMSOIL truck of the number 44 of Brad Lovell.
Kyle Hart on the inside of row 2. He just won the Aturo Pro Lights race, but to his right is the guy who was last year's Pro 2 and Pro 4 champion, CJ Greaves, that monster Toyota.
In row 3 on the outside is Rodney Van Eperen, and on the inside, the point leader at this point, Keegan Kincaid. So keep an eye on that number 7 Traxxas entry because he was blistering fast last night.
And due to the invert, he has to start in the back, and we'll see how quickly he can move up through the field. Brad Lovell had a mechanical failure last night, had a fire for a while. Look at Kyle Hart to the inside. He's going to get shut off, though, and that's going to cost him. But Ari Lyondike really stays in it on that outside. Now he's set up inside. Ari Lyondike takes the lead.
Ari Lyondike to the inside, kind of stopping, kind of taking the momentum away from everybody. And here we see Kyle Hart around the outside, carrying a lot of momentum. But here we see Brad Lovell looking to the inside. Who's going to get on their horse and run faster?
All the way to that edge is Kyle Hart, a different number in this race, driving the number 15 truck. And man, Ari Lyondike Jr., that is a new truck for him. It's not a new truck, but it's a new truck to him, and I think he's starting to figure things out.
Yeah, one of the legends, Rob McCackern, used to race that truck when he drove for Traxxas. Here we see CJ Greaves moving into 3rd place, but it was one of the guys that Kate was talking about missed their setup was Ari Lyondike. He said, I missed my tire setup, my suspension. Obviously, he did some work. He's looking great right now.
Brad Lovell had a good start, but he's worked his way through the pack. Kyle Hart, on the other hand, is pushing hard for the lead right now. Currently sits in 2nd. Lyondike's on it. The attitude of that truck at times is a little crooked, especially on this next jump. And there goes Hart to the inside. If he just pushes him wide, he should be fine, but can he get him wide?
But he's driving very, very nice. He's working him a little bit. But now, watch, you're going to see a little bit of retaliation. We're going to see Lyondike up to the inside.
Yeah, and I expect a big bump there. Kyle didn't really let go of it. Ari had to keep his foot in it, or it was going to get ugly for him in a hurry.
Yeah, these two banging back and forth, and here we see Keegan Kincaid moving into 3rd place. Oh, up and over the top, flat tire. That contact really messed up Ari Lyondike Jr. saying left front flat. That he's going to have to come in on the competition yellow.
And he's still a long ways from making to that hot pit, but if he pulls in right now, he will without question lose a lap. He needs to wait for that competition caution at the halfway point after lap 10.
Right, but we have a long way to go before we get there. So right now you see him going up there. He realizes he's got a flat, but it's what you got to do. He's just going to tear it up if he doesn't.
He has to pull it. No, his crew says no. Go back out there. Still try and save that lap. Still try and manage. Just try and hold on to the lead lap. You can just hold on for another, I don't know, 5-6 laps.
That's all.
Easy.
That's an easy day, right?
You know how to steer that thing with only one tire?
You still have 3 wheels, Ari. Quit complaining. But now what he has to do is he's going to have to use his back. He's going to have to use his turning brake to really help him out. But let's talk about Kyle Hart. This kid is on fire. He just blistered everybody in the pro light.
He's new to this class.
And he is running. And last night he got on a podium. And right now, these guys aren't catching him. He's running a very smooth line. And I think that running that other class helped him out a little bit. We see CJ Greaves and Keegan Kincaid looking for traction. And look, notice that Kyle Hart using the cushion to his advantage. So he's adapted from pro light to pro 2 in about 3 laps.
I don't know that Keegan Kincaid has to get crazy right now because he's in a good position being in second, but when he knows CJ's behind him, he would love to get by Kyle Hart and put himself between him and CJ. Let's go down to Kate Osborne, who has more on Ari Leindyke.
Well, not only does Ari Leindyke have a flat tire, the front right tire is flat, he also has a stop and go. He had excessive speed through the pits. Not a good night for Ari Leindyke Jr.
So we saw Ari come in and he decided to change his mind. And so now he has to come back into the pit. He has to maintain his speed. We got the safety first. Now all of a sudden he has to stop and then go.
There we have a pass for the lead. Keegan Kincaid takes over that #1 position. Still not backing out is Kyle. He's all the way down there to the grass. He's trying to find some of that lower end. It looks like he has found something.
Kyle running very, very strong. And this truck sat all last year. Marty Hart used to race that truck. It sat on mothballs all year long. Marty drove for Chad Horde last year, and now they pulled that thing off, dusted it off, and now Kyle is challenging for the lead.
A little bit wide for Keegan Kincaid there, but he actually made up a little ground and starting to get that hook up. That one jump that takes you all the way over there to the wall, you kind of want to be straight, because if you're a little crooked and you get into that wall, it can be bad news fast.
Well, and Kyle's a great little racer, and right now what he's doing is learning from osmosis. He's watching the wheel spin. He's watching how much Keegan is locking up the rear brakes and how much he's pushing and where he's driving the lines and everything. So right now Keegan Kincaid is the class of this class, and he's learning from the best at this point. Let me just tell you that the strange animal called confidence, and that's what Kyle Hart right now has. You watch this kid, he came in, and as he said, he's been perfect when it comes to Pro Light here in Texas, and he's been on the podium every time. Right now, he's not looking like a rookie. He's driving like a seasoned veteran.
You talk about like Kyle Hart, he's getting his introduction into Pro two-wheel drives. Remember, it wasn't long ago, back at Sturgis 2 years ago, Keegan Kincaid got to jump in the Pro two-wheel drive when his father stepped out. He stepped right into it, very much like we're seeing Kyle do tonight.
Yeah, exactly. These drivers, they will drive anything, any place, anytime. But right now we're focusing on CJ Greaves, who is now making up a little bit of time on Kyle Hart. So let's see what happens after the competition yellow, which is coming out this lap. CJ would like nothing more than to get by Kyle, but it's not looking like it's going to happen. This is the guy that is coming up for going to grab that competition yellow.
So the yellow and the red are waving. That means we're halfway through this 20-lap race. The mandatory competition caution has Keegan Kincaid out in front, Kyle Hart in second, CJ Greaves into third. There's your leader halfway through Pro two-wheel drive. Keegan Kincaid in that Traxxas #7 leads Kyle Hart, the rookie in the Pro 2 class. CJ Greaves, he's no rookie, back in third. Watch the start. See if he gets a good jump. It looks like he stayed back just a little bit on Kyle Hart. Brad Lovell, we know he's feeling good out there back there in fourth. He's looking to get on the podium here tonight in Texas. Good jump by Keegan Kincaid. Hart not so much, but CJ almost gets into the back of it.
Right there, so we've seen Kyle Hart use this lower line in Pro Light and in Pro two-wheel drive, and he does it again to protect that. And here we see Brad Lovell looking to the inside of CJ Greaves.
At a pretty good position. We're seeing Ari Leindyke Jr. I believe he's not on that lead lap back there in fifth spot. There's Hart trying to go to the inside, the 15 truck. The AMSOIL Maxxis tire entry. He's got a clean side on that truck, looking for the sponsorship. He's basically running out of his back pocket and Dad's back pocket in this class, and he's looking for help for 2016.
Exactly. But what surprises me is CJ Greaves. CJ's been the one that every year has always started and worked his way right to the front.
What's going on?
What's what we talked about. You make some changes, you try some stuff, but when you're testing, you're always testing on a different surface. So if they went to Crandon or one of the tracks up north, it's a completely different animal than it is down here in Texas.
The one thing about Crandon is, yes, they did go. They only got about 15 minutes or a few laps on it, but when they did, the frost had just left the track. It was really spongy, not like you would typically find at Crandon. I don't even know if they could figure out what they were doing. They were just doing more of a shakedown kind of run.
Well, let me just tell you, there's a reason why CJ Greaves is the defending champion in Pro two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and his father, Johnny, blistered everything last night in four-wheel drive and is the winningest driver in four-wheel as well. So they will figure this out, and they will come back, and here we see CJ starting to work his way.
That was a good line.
Right, and he comes from motocross where you have to adapt and change lines and move around. That's where you see him going real wide, real low, real high. So right now we see CJ Greaves starting to work his his way back up there.
Something different between the Turo Pro Lights and these Pro 2s and Pro 4s. These guys can actually choose the different compounds of the tire. Do they choose the softer? Do they use the harder? If they chose the softer, they might not want to burn it up that first half, and now they can push it in the back half.
Right, but if you notice, you can see the guys are stepping out. The track is a lot more consistent tonight. As I said, the guys from the TORC series have worked it out where it's still pretty loose track, pretty sideways. And here we see CJ looking to the inside, pushes Kyle out a little bit into the wall. Kyle pushes back. This is not over yet, folks.
It's the same spot we saw him and Ari Leindyke Jr. on it now, but he's set up and he's in a perfect position, but he's not going to let off. When I say he, CJ's not letting off, but then he had to. Kyle just passed him flat out.
Well, yeah, he pushed. That's a situation where we talked last night about position before submission, and CJ moved him out a little bit, and then Kyle returned the favor and moved him out. So this race is far from over, but this is giving Keegan Kincaid ample opportunity to pull away.
Both of these guys working their way up through the classes. You see Kyle Hart, now he's the points leader in the Turo Tire Pro Lights. You know CJ Greaves, he come from the Super Buggy Championship, a Pro 2-wheel drive. He's won the Pro 4-wheel drive. Two young guns battling it out, and this could be the future of TORC the Off-Road Championship for many years to come. And that's not even talking about the guy who's out of the picture. It's out in front, Keegan Kincaid.
Exactly. We have our lap times back up, and right now it's Keegan Kincaid with the fastest lap time of a 37.1 is his fastest lap. His last lap was a 37.6. This time 37.9. But he's got himself about a 4.5 second lead over Kyle Hart.
Cruise control right now for Keegan with about half of this second half, about a quarter of the race left, 5 laps to go.
I'm going to say wrong, Robbie. There is no cruise control when it comes to the off-road championship. If you're by yourself, you're worried. We've seen
Johnny did it last
bicycle,
night.
everybody in trouble. Johnny agrees. And right now, we see CJ looking to the outside, but he's probably going to try to squeeze underneath him. But now they hook bumpers on each other, and he had to let go.
I thought that he hooked up to that front bumper. That could have been ugly fast. If they hooked one inside of the other, they could have been hooked for the whole time.
Exactly, but he hit the brakes, turned down, got away from Ari Leindyke with a little bit of problem. They got Mobile down on the inside, so tough night for Ari Leindyke. You hate to see that happen, but here we're watching CJ Greaves currently running third, working really, really hard on Kyle Hart. Kyle Hart up on the berm, but now watch. CJ on the outside, he's probably going to look to square him up or just push him out of the way.
I think it's more the second than the first, but now he's outside here, and you know Kyle's probably going to take that inside line, block it, but he doesn't block it quite enough. But watch, now look at the drag race down the front straight. Heading towards that front straight.
What I like is that he's got his father, Marty Hart, on the radio letting him know what's going on. And here we see some smoke coming off that inside rear. We could see a tire going down for Kyle Hart. No, I think it's just fiberglass and they're burning. But what I want to go back to is what Kyle did there. CJ was on the inside. He didn't try to hold him down to slow him down. He moved up out of the way and he pulled away. So when you can open up your exit on your corner, you're going to go faster and get away. And that's the best thing instead of trying to block somebody.
Two different ways to look at that, and we saw Kyle Hart being more the aggressor, staying on the offensive, keeping that speed to pull away from CJ, where a lot of people would have just pinched him down and said, forget you, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, but whenever you hook up with somebody, I believe in the philosophy just like he did. Get up, get away, and try to keep running fast. You don't want to drive like that, just all blocking out the back. Right now, Kyle's running his own line, and CJ's getting a little bit frustrated, looking in, looking out. Obviously, CJ's faster, but this is a small track, and it's hard for him to get around.
There are no ruts, but I see guys trying to hook a little bit in some of those corners as well, so we're starting to build up like little mini berms or little ruts here and there. This track's still in good shape.
And right now, we're probably going to see CJ go from the outside to the inside, but Kyle does a great job and just maintains his line, and CJ can't get around him. Kyle's running the perfect line through that corner, so he can't look to the inside, he can't look to the outside.
Keegan Kincaid takes the white flag, as does down the front straightaway. There's Kyle Hart. CJ's going to have a good run here, though. Can he get underneath him and try and chop the nose right here? He needs to go inside and still get to that outside in the next turn. Oh, brought him around a little bit.
Yep, so watch this right hand. This is where it's all going to come down. CJ's probably going to go from the far outside to the far inside to try to get him on this exit, or he's going to try to set him up to get underneath him coming on there. You see Kyle a little bit wide, but now this is the problem where he hasn't been able to get underneath him. And so now he slides in, gets a little bit of wheel on him, but no, Kyle Hart doing a great, he spins him around, gets him loose, but now Kyle comes back on the inside.
The win goes to Keegan Kincaid, but what a race for second as they head down the front straightaway. Barely Kyle Hart And the fans are standing up cheering Kyle Hart on. He didn't win, but he won these fans' admiration. Keegan Kincaid is the fastest in Pro 2. He does it again here in Texas. He wins round 1 and the second round as well.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, is brought to you by Cooper Tires. We make tires for people, not just cars. Bad Boy Off-Road, and their all-new Stampede 900 4x4 side-by-side. And by AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Keegan Kincaid with the 2 special in Texas, winning both rounds, and Kate Osborne's with him.
Keegan Kincaid, 2 for 2, starting the season outright. You had the fastest lap out there, and some would maybe assume you were out running by yourself, but how much of that race were you actually following the battle going on behind you, or were you really just actually focused on you and your truck?
We just settled in at the beginning of the race, and we knew it was a long race, so we just started picking them off one by one when the opportunity presented itself, and these Cooper tires hooked up and brought us right to the front fast. And I couldn't do it without my team. You know, Todd Goodwin put a crazy motor in this thing, and you can tell. And I can't thank Cody, Chaz, my dad, and happy birthday to my little boy. He turns 5 tomorrow, so this is for him, and hopefully we can keep this streak going.
All right, Keegan, it was cool to see him coming up to the truck there and giving you a high five at the end. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Woo! Yeah, he is number 1. As we look at the results, the red background signifies he is the points leader with the number 7 right now out in front. A perfect weekend here in Texas for Keegan Kincaid and the Traxxas entry. Number 7 looking forward to the next stop in Chicago. And it's hard to beat the pace he's on right now, and Kyle Hart a strong finish in second. Speaking of second, let's send it down to Kate Osborne. Yep, he's smiling. Kyle Hart, he is another podium finisher.
Kyle Hart is smiling, but he also said he is tired. You were 2 for 2 on the podium here in Pro 2, your first weekend. Now you kind of have a win in and of itself. You made it past CJ. You told me earlier that you were just excited to be able to run with these guys, and now you're here second. Describe that battle.
You know, it's unbelievable whenever we let a good amount of laps at the first half, and then Keegan was able to get around us, and we didn't have anything for him. But to have last year's defending champion just banging on your back door, I was coming around every time just praying for the white flag, just throw it out. But we ended up holding on to it. We ended up getting together a couple times, but we ended up shaking out, and I'm beyond excited to be up here. My first weekend, I got a 3rd and a 2nd, and swept the weekend in Pro Light. I really couldn't ask for a better way to start off the 2016 season.
Kyle Hart, a lot of celebrating he has to do this weekend. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
The championship points hunt, a 6-point advantage now over CJ Greaves. You get 2-point separation between first and second, 3rd, and so on, down to about 12th place. Kyle Hart in a tie for second with CJ. Any surprises, Ricky, when you look at that?
Kyle Hart, you know, you got to give it to this kid. And what's great is that, you know, you saw the excitement. I mean, imagine the adrenaline dump that you get from both winning the Pro Light, 2 main events, and then coming back and battling, as he said, with the current point leader and the past champion.
Let's go down to Kate Osborne, who's with CJ Greaves.
CJ Greaves, not exactly where he wanted to be finishing here in 3rd tonight. That was an incredible battle. Not really exactly the way you wanted it to go down. Talk about it.
There's nothing to say. I think we had a faster truck, and he was just a wider truck tonight. So we'll regroup for next time and see what we can do. But I can't thank all my team, Boots, Cody, Pat, my mom and dad, my sister, my girlfriend, Brad, Monster, Toyota, Maxxis, Method Race Wheels, Fox Shocks, all these guys that stand behind us. We'll regroup and come back stronger next time.
All right, CJ Greaves, not too happy about his place, but good luck in Pro 4.
The question is, will CJ Greaves be able to turn things around in Pro 4? The defending champion will hit the track next with the Pro 4-wheel drives, but it's a handful out there. And Ricky Johnson talked about it earlier, just what it's like steering these big TORC trucks.
Here in TORC, the Off-Road Championship, we're always pushing performance right to the edge. We're here with Jeff Howe, owner of Howe Performance Power Steering. Let's talk about the rack and pinion steering. Jeff, when it comes to the demands of a vehicle, especially for the TORC truck versus an everyday passenger car, can you give us a little bit of insight?
Well, the biggest thing is really the ratio. The steering on these vehicles is very quick, so you can catch the vehicle as you're sliding through the corners. In your everyday street car, it's a lot slower. It can make the car more comfortable for as a daily driver. But as the action is hot and the cars are quick, people are running into you, cars are sliding around, you really need the quick steering to be able to recover from that sort of thing.
So a lot of people might look at these trucks and think, well, they're 4,000 pounds with a 35-inch tire, but when you see a desert truck, 6,000 to 7,000 pounds with a 40-inch tire, what puts a higher demand on your steering rack?
I would say the short course does, because the tires are a lot softer. We need that extra grip because the dirt is it's clay versus out in the desert. It's a lot softer, the rocks are big. You got to get through all that, but still in the short course, you have a lot more steering input because you're door to door. You're hammering down.
So short course is pushing the technology, but the demands are the highest here at the TORC Series.
Well, we'll see how the Pro 4-wheel drives handle the track here in Texas here in just a bit.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, is brought to you by Maxxis Tires. We know dirt. VP Racing Fuels, the official fuel of TORC. And by AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
It's time for the big boys, the Pro 4-wheel drive at TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL, the final race of the night in Texas. Leading the field is CJ Greaves, but what is a Pro 4-wheel drive truck? We saw the Pro 2s. Now we're stepping it up a notch in the Pro 4s.
Well, as you can see, we got a maximum cubic inch of 440 cubic inch. We're running anywhere from 750 to 900 horsepower, about 20 inches of wheel travel. Everyone changes it slightly. When it comes to the weight, we want to get up there to 4,100 pounds, so 35-inch tire as well.
4 wheels digging for dirt. You're seeing Johnny Greaves on the inside of Scott Douglas. Douglas on the outside, he had nowhere to go, and Johnny had everywhere to go up in front. Didn't get the start, but it didn't take him long to get there.
Yeah, showing the veteran that he is, he moves Scott Douglas up. Scott was wise, and here was the problem. We saw the CJ Greaves, those bolts broke, the tranny, and we saw Scott Douglas also misfire. So a very, very strange race last night, and a very challenging race, but this guy, Johnny Greaves, showed why he's the winningest driver.
Getting rid of some of those first race bugs as we look at the starting grid. CJ Greaves will start on pole next to Kent Brasho, Ross Hook, Scott Douglas side by side. Horde and Greaves, the top 6, they'll line up to the side. Mike Jenkins back there in 7th, but I think he doesn't mind being back in 7th.
We're going to talk to him at the competition yellow to see how well he works his way back up. But we're getting ready to go green.
The final race of the night, Pro 4-wheel drives, 4 wheels, a clawing and out in front. Clawing, look at that start for CJ Greaves. He's looking for redemption after that Pro 2 drive.
Scott Douglas shooting from the outside to the inside. Johnny Greaves coming inside of Kent Brasho, working his way all the way back up into 3rd spot. But here comes Chad Hort, works his way around and gets up into 3rd position. So big move by Chad Hort.
Big time move by Chad Hort. Now into 3rd. Johnny goes to the outside. That enables Mike Jenkins to go underneath him. Mike Jenkins might take over and say, oh, Hort gets hooked. And he catches the barrier.
Yep, Hort getting pushed from the Jenkins on the outside. That shoved him over into the barrier. It looks like he stalled it. So I don't know if he's got a manual automatic in there, but he's having trouble getting that thing rolling.
Oh, man, he's just got to get it to back up, and he does so, and he'll rejoin the fray. He's just got to look forward to that competition caution. But back out in front, CJ Greaves, Scott Douglas, 1 and 2. And CJ, again, what happened? Something looks like he let go, but it looks like he's refired now.
Now he's back going again. So this puts Scott Douglas up front with the 2 Greaves trucks, 2nd and 3rd. And here we see Mike Jenkins has worked his way all the way from 7th to 4th place.
That's the 2nd night in a row we saw CJ just flying and then just something shut down, but he's got it refired. His father back behind him. Mike Jenkins the most aggressive. I didn't think he might, and yeah, something's definitely wrong with CJ.
Wow, it's amazing. It's called the sophomore jinx. Sometimes you have such an awesome season and then certain things aren't going right, and that seems to be the problem with CJ Greaves. So right now, these 2 guys have gone after it for over 20 years. Johnny Greaves and Scott Douglas in that AMSOIL Ford. So sparks will fly. These guys love racing each other.
Douglas finished 3rd in the point standings last year. He's out in front now. Johnny, again, was chasing his son the entire season, it seemed like. CJ took that championship. Mike Jenkins back there running a part-time campaign last year back in third. And I didn't think Jenkins minded starting in the back because I thought this track is going to dry out and he's running a softer tire than everybody. But I think he's really on it now because he knows that tire won't go away with this type of dirt we're having right now.
Right. The tires. Oh, we see Johnny Greaves making a mistake. He goes around. He has to pop it into neutral. Now he's just coasting back, and then you'll probably see him whip a donut here to the left. So very,
Did he
very
lose
bad.
fire again? He lost fire. He lost fire in that truck, and I don't see his hand reaching for the starter button. It looks like it's on the shifter.
Yeah, but now he realizes he's got to go to the back of the field, and then as he starts to roll. So we're staying green.
Yeah, and that's big. If they went yellow, it would bunch them back up, and you could go nose to tail, but woo. Now, what about Scott Douglas out in front? He could really manage that truck where he might not have been able to do it before.
Exactly, and Scott Douglas is a great guy to have out front. He loves that. He builds up a lot of confidence. You see him wheeling over the top of that, but this is the kind of race Scott Douglas needs this to get back in front. We talked about Kyle Hart getting confidence and building himself back up. We've seen Scott Douglas lose weight on the bike, lose weight on the truck, and now we've seen him start to gain that confidence and go faster and faster.
Douglas is looking good, and I think we have more. Kate Osborne, what do you have on CJ?
CJ Greaves right now trying to push his way around the track. Talked to his spotter, and right now he said it looks like he's stuck in third gear. It's what he's the only information he's been given.
Wow, thanks, Kate. So yeah, I knew there was something wrong, and I was wondering at times if he could even find third.
Well, if you were in an automatic and you were stuck in third, you have that converter that's going to slip and slide. He's got that manual transmission, so it's locked 1-to-1. So when he goes around the corner, wants to stall out on him.
No problems for Douglas. He's leading after 8 laps, has about an 8-second advantage, and everybody around him just kind of falling apart. Minus Kent Brasho, and he's charged his way up through the field in second.
Exactly, but you know, when it comes to racing and stuff like that, Scott Douglas has been a champion in the past. He's won so many cup races and desert races and stuff like that. And here we see Chad Hort and Johnny Greaves working their way back up. They are going to love that competition yellow right now.
And the pass for Hort, he gets underneath and takes over position over Ross Hook. That should move him into 4th position, and almost forgot about Chad Hort because he was bad fast at that first lap.
Exactly,
but he got spun around by Mike.
He got stuck. He got stuck over there, but now he's starting to move his way back up. They both went by Ross Hook out there, so now they're going to be heading up towards Mike Jenkins, going to get past him. But now we're coming to the competition yellow.
Before we get back to the Pro 4, the second half of the race, let's go down to Kate Osborne.
Yeah, talking to Jeff Kincaid about Mike Jenkins, who's over in the hot pit. Turns out he broke a steering line, and he is over there. They're not sure if he is going to be done for the rest of the race. They're really hoping not, but at this point, it seems like a pretty tough day for Mike Jenkins.
Well, we heard from Jeff Howe earlier the demands on this, and when you have that much pressure running through that rack and pinion steering, if you have a broken line, you are not going to be able to man it through. It's not like having a steering box. So right now, Scott Douglas with an unbelievable hole shot, but let's watch what Chad Hort and Johnny Greaves do with Kent Brasho.
Brasho's still into second. Johnny's going to go underneath him, so Brasho's going to feel Hort to the outside, but he's about to feel the bumper of Johnny Greaves' side, door to door. Yep, he almost had to do it.
Yeah, well, he's got to get up there if he wants to. Oh, Mike Jenkins with a big problem.
His truck shut off, didn't it?
Yeah, what happened was he tried to come onto the track, and you can see he can't steer the truck. So what happens, I said, with that much power steering assist, you see he has to back up because you can't turn it. Folks, it's not a matter of, I'll just kind of man through it. It's way, way, way worse than it is driving a regular vehicle. So he's putting his hundreds and hundreds of pounds of pressure on that steering wheel to try to get it to angle. So it looks like that's going to be the night for Mike Jenkins.
Yeah, people think when you lose power steering, no, you can just fight it like that. But no, but it actually it's way, way worse. I raced modified cars for a little bit. It's herky-jerky. It's darn near impossible. But we're looking at a great race, 1, 2, and 3 now. I love the competition caution. You talked about it. They've been doing it for quite a while, but it really tightens this field, and Johnny has a shot to go back-to-back, and a big bump starting to form.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff that's going to tear the vehicles up because you're accelerating so hard, and it bounces. One wheel goes up in the air, the other one comes down. All that power driving through that one wheel, it can tear some stuff up. And here we see Mike Jenkins getting up another way. Johnny Greaves shooting to the inside, and now Scott Douglas back to the inside.
Slingshot. Can Johnny hold on to it? The answer is no. Douglas shuts the door. Johnny's on that outside, but it's a right-hand turn. What a race here at Pro 4-Wheel Drive.
Inside, outside. This is what Pro 4 is all about. The guys use every ounce of track, slingshotting in, slingshotting out.
Stay there, stay outside, drive around the outside. Johnny Greaves, look at that. That's what CJ should have tried once or twice at least earlier in the Pro 2 class.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, Robbie, that when you're driving a Pro 4, you can go in other places. When you're in a Pro 2, you got to stay on line.
This is true. We're looking at Scott Douglas. It looks like the right rear may have issues. Is it squatting a little extra? Now, they do run interliners in these tires, so you can have a flat and still be okay. I don't know.
No, the tire looks good.
You know,
What happened was it got packed full of mud. When he went out there and he pushed Johnny Greaves out, he slid up against the wall. What it does is it throws all that dirt in there, and then with this black gumbo looks like a tire coming apart. But it is staying in line. But Johnny Greaves with a small mistake right there. This race is not over, folks.
Steering issues and that sticky ground really grabbing those tires as well. Chad Hort has now worked his way up from Belch, Michigan. New to the Pro 4-wheel drive class last year, and he really reworked this truck to make it drive like his Pro 2. He liked the way that handled, different characteristics, a little bit longer wheelbase than he was, but he likes steering with that rear end, and it's a little different with the Pro 4.
Yeah, exactly. When you go from when you go from Pro 2 to Pro 4, you just learn how to be aggressive. Johnny Greaves has talked about that it's more like an MMA fight where it's just all out, bumping and banging. And here we see Chad Hort looking to the inside.
Takes over position. Chad Hort now into second. He gets by the Amsoil truck of Scott Douglas.
And we talked about that this race is not over, and that's like we said. I want to thank Jim Baldwin for coming up with this competition yell, because it gives the best guys a shot back if something bad happens in the first part of the race. And now we see both Johnny Greaves and Chad Hort out in front.
Looks like Jenkins has pulled over. He might have lost fire for just a minute. Almost needs to just stay out of the way. He's lost enough laps now. I don't think he can make a difference.
He's trying to just keep rolling around and gather some points. But for his safety and everybody, it might be best that he pulls it off to the side. He is trying to stay out of the way, but it's very, very, very difficult.
And that makes me wonder also, when Douglas came into that first turn, you know, after that reset, when he saw Jenkins out there, he had to be going, uh-oh, what's he doing? Where's he going? If it takes a little bit of your focus to that outside, you're not necessarily thinking about holding that inside away, and Johnny made the pass. Johnny Greaves, the 22, finished second last year to his son CJ, who's having mechanical issues back there in fifth, but Johnny was clearly the fastest driver in the field in Pro 4 yesterday. Let's quickly send it down to Kate Osborne.
Well, at a point at this race, it looked like Johnny had broken something within his truck, and it turns out his front diff was not locking up tight enough, and he was actually using a two-wheel drive throughout the race. They're not sure why, they're not sure the issue, but that is right now what is going on.
So the front not driving, not bringing, because we've seen Chad Hort really closing in.
Well, it could be jumping in and out. You watch, you can see, because it looks like it kind of comes in, it kind of comes out. Like he'll push right there, then all of a sudden everything grabs. So it might be an RPM issue that the differential is unlocking and then locking. But normally when you hammer the gas on these with that front differential, but we see Chad Hort chasing him down with just a couple laps to go.
You see that front end, it is grabbing, so he does have four-wheel drive at times. Chad Hort goes to the inside, looking for his first Pro 4 win in TORC. He's on the outside, but we got a right-hander coming up here. It's super tight, the tightest portion of the course.
Right, we see Johnny trying to work him around to the outside, but Chad be able to drive, and that's where we're seeing him. Works his way up, pushes him out. Now he's going to shoot underneath, and that's the problem, is that it seems kind of sporadic that it comes in and comes out, because there's certain times, like right there, Johnny Greaves can make a run on him, but if you notice, the Chad Hort is more consistent all the way around.
And then that in question, if it is in and out, Johnny can't really rely on it to be there at a certain time. If he was just in a Pro 2, he might be able to adjust. We've seen it at Crandon in those special races. A Pro 2 can't compete, but when you're in and out, it's a different story.
But that's what a champion does. Look, he adapts and overcomes. He's starting to run wide lines. He knows he can't squirt around the inside, so he's opening up the corners, doing what he needs to do. But right now, it's all about this guy, the Amsoil Ponce Ford, Chad Hort.
Time is running out for Johnny Greaves. Speaking of time, it's Chad Hort's time in Pro 4-wheel drive. He takes his first ever victory. Now it's official in TORC. We have a new winner. Woo, what a race. I didn't want to call it too early, especially when I saw him get sideways. That is one happy man in that Amsoil number 9, and we'll talk with him right after this.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, is brought to you by Amsoil, devoted to protection. Bad Boy Off-Road, and their all-new Stampede 900 4x4 side-by-side. And by Kenda Tires, designed for your journey.
It has to be a special night. We have a new winner in Pro 4-wheel drive, Chad Hart, and Kate Osborne's with him.
One of the finest celebrations right there. Chad Hart, this is a long time coming for you. You tied yesterday with your second place here in Pro 4. Tonight, you have finally done it. You are on top here in Pro 4 for the first time, but it was not easy. What is different about this season than last?
You know, it wasn't easy, but you know, this off season we really dug deep and went through this Pro 4 and got it ready for this season. And we've got Amsoil, Ponzi, Maxxis Tires, and just a special thanks to my crew. And I mean, the battle we had going on with Johnny and Scott, and I ended up being last and having to come back, and you just couldn't ask for a better win.
Chad Hart, big round of applause for him. This has been one incredible journey for him. Congratulations, Chad.
Thanks a lot.
Let's look at the results for the Pro 4-wheel drives. Hort, Greaves, Douglas, the top 3. Brasho, top 4, dude. He's Mr. Consistency here. CJ Greaves having the mechanical problems as well as Jenkins and Hook. But Chad Hart was the racer of the night. I mean, he earned that victory in the Pro 4.
Yeah, a lot of guys might have lost their cool after they got, you know, him and Jenkins got into each other. And that might have been the tap that spun Hort might be the one that broke Jenkins' steering. You know, the front wheel to the rear wheel messed him up.
This is true, Ricky. Let's go down to Kate Osborne. She works her way through the field.
Johnny Greaves, consistency is something that you've been having recently within TORC altogether. But man, second place, and it was a battle to get here through and through. There was a point it even looked like you broke, that you were limping a little bit. You had a front diff problem. What happened?
Yeah, you know, I went in that corner, and the diff definitely busted. But you know, if I nursed it on the straightaways, it was all right. But I couldn't use minute I turned the wheel and got on the gas, I was in two-wheel drive. So, you know, you can kind of see I had to be really careful there. And I was basically gonna just ride around and collect points, and then, you know, Chad passed me, and I was marking Scott, and I'm like, well, shoot, you know, we're still hanging in there. So maybe at this restart, I'll just see if I can find a way to make it manage and change my lines up to make it work. Because the four-wheel drive was pretty good on the straightaways, so I just had to be careful in the corners. And you know, I definitely sacrificed a little bit in the corners, but you know, that's not taking away anything from Chad. He drove his butt off. I seen him coming out of the hot pit and come out like a man possessed. So he earned that one 100%. And you know, everybody was running hard, but it was a fun time. It definitely made it interesting.
All right, Johnny Greaves, congratulations on second place. Glad you had a good time out there.
So just like we thought, a problem with that differential as we look at the championship points. Johnny Greaves leads the field still first and second. It's hard to beat that. You saw a smile on his face. He didn't win, but he knew he gave it his all, and I think he thought he finished a little faster than he thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, he did a great run. As we said, it was just inconsistent. But right now, down there with Scott Douglas is going to be Kate. Take it away.
Yeah, Scott, not the place you want to be here. Third place, you were running quick at the beginning, but something changed. What made the difference?
Go look at the tire in the right rear. We lost all the tread, and truck, I can't thank my crew enough, and you know, and Amsoil and Walker Evans wheels and Rusty's off-road, but it's really disappointing to have a truck that's just checking out on everybody that you know. I had some left, you know, and then to have that happen, you know, and I kept with it, but then at the end I thought it was going to blow up altogether, but it didn't. You know, the carcass held in real good, so I got to thank Cooper for that. And it's just, this isn't one that you forget. There's no way when you got a truck that fast and you lose.
All right, Scott Douglas, sorry about today, but hopefully you come back and take a win there in Chicago.
Yeah, we feel good about the changes we made. We were off yesterday, and like I said, there again, the crew just did a great job. The engine's running good. You know, Todd Goodwin, and then the you know, J&H transmission is running good too. I mean, all the temperature, we got everything, all the gremlins worked out. We did everything we wanted the off season, so we're pretty excited about the season.
All right, Scott Douglas, congratulations.
So that's it from Texas Motor Speedway, the second stop of TORC, the Off-Road Championship. Kyle Hart is a man on a mission in the Atturo Pro Lights, but he's pretty darn fast in the Pro 2s as well. Johnny Greaves, Keegan Kincaid. CJ Greaves didn't have the best of nights. Chad Hort didn't start out that way in the Pro 4s, but he finished on top with his first ever win. On behalf of Kate Osborne, Ricky Johnson, I'm Robbie Floyd. We'll see you next time for TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL.